Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Ramblings of Designer podcast. This is a weekly podcast where we talk about the latest in graphic design news from around the web. My name's Adam. I'm a designer from the San Francisco Bay Area. I specialize in visual UI design with a little bit of illustration. I like to give companies character. And every week I'm joined by my co host, Terry. How's it going, Terry?
Hey, Adam, I'm doing great. As Adam says, my name's Terry. I'm a UX UI designer from the Bay Area, and I help bridge the gap between products and their end users.
All right. And today we're doing another portfolio review, right? Who do we got for us today, Terry?
Absolutely. No, we have Matt here with us, and Matt was born in the UK, and that's where he grew up. And Matt has a very interesting background. He started out doing media over at London University, and then after that, he became a firefighter. Not only was he a firefighter, then he flew helicopters back and forth to the North Sea and Malaysia. So when he came to US, he actually began designing as a UX UI designer for a SaaS service company, and then also as well as his other hobby, he flies airliners out of Seattle. Well, until the current virus now, but just with his background, become a firefighter and and um, flying helicopters. I'm sure he has some interesting stories of like having like tight deadlines. We think we have tight deadlines. I'm sure he has more tighter deadlines. So hey, Matt, welcome and thank you so much for giving us this opportunity of to share your portfolio. And then also, can you just introduce yourself just a little bit more, if you don't mind?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me on. I'm Matt Ward, and I live in the Seattle area. UX UI designer. Was an airline pilot up till recently with like you mentioned, the issues we've had with the virus. And so I'm just going back more into UX and UI design that I was doing before. Got a 2-year-old daughter, and I've lived in the States now for just over 4 years.
Oh, awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. So we're gonna get right to it into Matt's portfolio, and then also to Matt. I know you mentioned to us that basically you are looking for how to narrow down your portfolio a little bit, number one, and then number two, any is missing within of your overall portfolio piece, like how it looks, what it makes sense. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I think um, looking at what I've got now, I think it needs trimming down a bit. And also, I'd like to look at out of those projects that I leave, what things may be missing, to show sort of other skills I've got, or whether they need trimming down a bit more, remove some stuff, or just what you need to add just to give a better overall portfolio.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And feel free up to jump in into any time between Adam and I's, talking. We definitely like to have this of a whole interaction flow. If you have something to say, if you don't, that's okay too, not a problem.
Okay, I
So,
will. Thanks.
okay, awesome. So, Adam, let's get started. Of course, Adam knows me so well. We always go to the nice about page. And right now, I really like the space and everything like that. And you talk about being an ex firefighter, offshore helicopter pilot, following a passion for UX design, operating at the crossroads of modernism and minimalism to create an intuitive user interface. So I think that's good. Adam, do you have any feedback for that, or maybe how it's placed, or maybe about the image? Do you think it
Yes.
takes too much space, or not enough?
Well, the issue I have off the bat is this is the first page that we see when we go to your site, right? Let me see. Bam. No, okay. So it's just the layout was a little different. I'm not used to seeing the about page as the first tab, so that part was a little confusing to me. Let's see. Yeah, I like that it's short. I like that you talk just a little bit about you and your history. It's always great to see what sort of background you're coming from, and then here the list of tools and skills. That's great. I want to see all this about you, right? If because oftentimes to a company may not be looking for just a UX designer. They're like, wow, I need a UX designer, but also need somebody that knows how to do A/B testing, knows how to do maybe even stuff that's not design, right? But like motion graphics. And so if you have all your skills laid out here and the tools you use, that's great. Oh, you use Sketch. I know that you're gonna sync up with my team pretty good. So, and I like that you threw in the little hobbies at the bottom. So that's pretty cool. So that's just an added thing, right? Like this might be a little bit thing, a little extra thing about me, but you kept it in the bottom, so you didn't like lead with that as much. So overall, I thought it was laid out pretty nice.
Yeah. Hey, Adam, I just have a question. Um, Regarding the responsive website, do you think he should, instead of having 4 lines, try to make it into two? And when the person takes the website and make it smaller, then it will go into four?
Just like the paragraphs, like how long
Yeah.
they are. I, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Um, yeah, like I think he compensated for content with size, right? So he didn't have much to say, but he filled out that space nicely by upping the text a little bit. So if I look at it just here on my screen, like it looks well balanced. And you know, if this was just in 2 lines, the text would have to be much smaller and it wouldn't read as well. Here it's I think it's presented pretty well. I like the background. You have a interesting thing going on with the background that I've noticed. Not in this maybe not in this shot, but in other ones. And so, um, yeah, it looks great.
Okay, cool. Just wanted just to point that out, just in case if somebody is like, "Hey, what about this?" Because I know some designers, they put everything of like edge to edge, and sometimes it's really hard to find that balance, like
Mm-hmm.
you were actually talking about. Okay, so let's get into the work. So,
Mm-hmm.
Adam,
Let's see. Can you see the work tab?
yeah,
Okay, great.
okay, so let's go to the first
Well,
one.
I would say right away here. I mean, I get that it's you have this nice kind of minimalism thing going, but I feel like there should be something else here. Like this is all buried at the bottom. Maybe if there's a way to bring this up to where it was first line, and this kind of went up a little bit, just so you can see more of everything there. Because right away it's like, okay, you're into this experience, but I really need to get to, you know, your work, which is why I'm here. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's down here. So it'd be great to find some more space in here, or do something with the space, right? Because you have it. Um, this is the one case where I feel like the minimalism would be best suited with actual production, like give me getting me someplace. But let's see. You want to go with the first one,
Yeah.
Bank of America Mobile? Okay.
Okay. So right away, I really like how you have um, the overview and the problem statement, and then you have a little,
Mhm.
not little, but like this character illustration already there. So just just keep going, and then you have your research. Okay, just keep going. Yeah, and then you have the research. Are those research questions, right, Matt?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, one of the things with this is you can fire so much stuff on there in terms of the research. It's trying to work out how much do you want to show, or how much do you leave out, because you could fill pages and pages with all the different aspects of the research. So I'd be interested to know what you thought in terms of how much I should be putting in, to show the UX side of this project?
I wouldn't say too much content. It will definitely like how you package everything, because like the questions, they are like spread out. But there was if you keep going down,
Mm-hmm.
he had okay, like stop. Um, I thought this was really, really interesting, even though, excuse me, even though it doesn't have questions or anything. It's like it's showing us, you know, what has changed, or what was the busy part, and then basically he moved it over to make it simple, or whatnot. And then basically, if you scroll back to his questions a little bit more. Um, so Matt, I'm not sure how you did the research. Did you interview them, or was it a survey? Whatever it was, maybe you can put like a graphical image kind of behind that, right? And just have maybe of a couple call outs of what was the most important, maybe of what your research said. Of like, you can have like all the questions saying, these are the questions I like to ask. And these are like 1, 2, 3, like really astound feedback you got, to make it a little bit more um, visible in a graphical statement, instead of saying one and then question and then answer, then question and answer. Adam,
Okay, so you think
what do you
cut
think?
down the 10 and maybe just have 2 or 3 with a graphical sort of, like you say, representation of the feedback I got for those key 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 questions that seem to be the most important in the
Yeah,
survey.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Or maybe if you can have the questions list below, maybe you know just have half of the page 1 through 5, and then the other half 5 through 10. So like it, if anybody's reading the case study, at least they can say, oh, these are the questions. But like on top, here's where that maybe it's a little bit more, you know this is what they have to say, or like this was the most important feedback that basically I got after doing my affinity map, or whatnot.
Okay.
If that makes
Yeah,
sense. Adam, do you have?
I kind of agree. These are kind of a lot of questions they have on here. It would be great to have maybe just your top three, and something that we saw Melody do in last week's podcast is that she just had a link to a PDF that's like, here's the rest of the stuff, right? So she made an additional thing that filled out the rest of just the rest of the content, so that you didn't have to see all of it all at once. So maybe having like a top three, top four, and then throw the rest in a PDF, and then have them, have it, and then have it, also designed the same way.
Right.
Let's see. But for me, it's also too, what I was saying about, is it too much content, right? I would say the hierarchy that you're showing here allows for good scannability, and so people can just navigate easily to each section, because you have this really good header for each of them. And so if they needed to jump to a specific section, I think it's very easy for somebody to find what they're looking for, and they won't get lost. So I think you've set this up well enough, and you thought about the layouts of each section enough where I'm like engaged. This is less of a study for me, and it's more like just like a cool case study. Like the way you've presented it is keeps me engaged because you're showing me something different every time I scroll down. I'm like, oh, okay, you're getting me this. Oh, okay, feedback summary. Now I go down. Okay, now see this layout, how you have you're thinking about alternating the images from left to right. Then you throw in this here. So I'm like, oh, okay, you give me so much to see that I'm okay with having to scroll through it. So you're definitely keeping me engaged. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Matt, do you have any more questions for us regarding this here?
No, that was my main thing with this one, was just the amount of content. So I like the idea of having a link to a PDF so I can reduce the questions on show. Yeah, so if you, I just wanted to know your thought on the overall sort of layout of it in terms of content. So yeah, I'm happy with that.
Okay,
fix that.
cool. Oh yeah, you gotta fix. There's a
Yeah, I know.
that's all right. Okay, so you got your sketches and wireframe. If go down.
See,
I
and this
love
is what
the
I was saying too.
sketches.
You have a very low fidelity kind of sketch here, but it's the notes that are the key for me, right? Because I don't need to know exactly what I'm looking at here and here, but just you telling me, okay, this is a touch payment icon. Great. That's all I need to know. And then what's going on in this screen? You're giving it even here, right? You're giving me this low, just simple user flow, but you're explaining it, and these are the things that that really caught my attention. I need to know why you're not just. That's one of the issues you're having here is that okay, you have the low fidelity, but then I don't need to see the progression from low to middle to high. So this isn't telling me anything, right? Because here it's nothing, and then here's a little bit something here. So it's almost just like I'd rather just see the jump from like if you had it here to there, and maybe not with these in between. So it's good to know that you know how to do it, but it's just this doesn't add anything, I think, to me. For me, I love this though. This is amazing. This things like this where you're even calling out, you're educating me on what your thought. I mean, it would be good to see where what you're doing, right? You can say remove this, remove this, remove, you don't need any of this. And then so maybe like a little paragraph down here of what you
Changed.
got rid of and why. But seeing from this to this, yeah, it's much clearer. Here I'm bombarded with so many iconography and different levels of attention where you just simplified it. So now it's clean, crisp, it's easy to see all in one view. And you showed exactly what you did to do that. So, but it'd be good if you explained it, like, well, getting rid of additional iconography and the need for navigation could be moved in this area. Then we have a nice simple layout, and that's great. I love this.
Yeah. Also, too. Wait. Stop there. Stop.
Go back here. Back here.
Yeah. Stop. Even something like this. If you want to just put it in some form like of a PDF or whatnot, that would give the user the option up to see, or maybe something. If you do want to take that out and just put it onto a second level, as you're giving of that option as well.
Or do something with it. I don't know. Make it into an animated GIF or something.
Oh yeah, that too.
Maybe just like show. I don't know. Like have at least something visually interesting. So here, okay. So that's what it is. Trimming down the excess to ensure. Yeah. So this is exactly what I'm saying. This whole. So maybe if there's a way where you can pair this section, because here's you're talking about the simplification, right? And then here is you literally pointing out what you did to it. Maybe if there's a way to, like, I don't know, get rid of this or move this to a different section to call out, hey, this is the simple, these are the things I simplified, and here's the whole paragraph talking about that. And I like this little bit too, calling out just different parts of it. Oh, now the navigation is simpler because of that, and this is how it's called out. So that's great.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, and then you got the dashboard.
Yeah. Same thing with this.
Yeah, same thing there.
Okay. Same thing here.
Here, same thing.
See, instead of showing these, I'd rather more like final product shots throughout. Like, where's the show me some more of this. of this, you know, because other than that, like you already have, you're just showing me the same progression, and it's like, wow, I've seen it once. I don't need to see it again. I want to see what you ended up with. Okay, let's see. UX in hand with UI. Yep.
Yes, I would have to agree with Adam too on that one.
But it's laid out nice. So
Oh
I like
yeah.
this. You're like, okay, here. Oh, and then you led me to this whole paragraph. So that's great.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
so let's go through onboarding. Okay.
All right.
I really like this section. How you have the phone here, then you have an illustration, and then you have another, phone. I definitely want to see more of this. Maybe another line at the bottom, or maybe mix it up. Maybe have on the second row, maybe you have one more screen on the phone, and then basically on the other two sides of the phone, you'll have another illustration or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see what you mean.
All right, and then conclusion, simplify process.
And then final screens.
Yeah, it's cool. These are nice. It would be better to. It would be nice to see them. Although you have them up there in their individual sections, it would be better to see more. Like I want to see this more, but like presented to me better, right? Like uh, showcase, having it showcase to me a little better, you know, things like that. One issue I could potentially see is just maybe with the illustrations, you know, I would say, you know, like this guy is great, this guy maybe, I don't know about the woman in particular, maybe just because she has very exaggerated assets. um
Do you know what?
you
Yeah, I did wonder about that.
know
I did
that's
wonder.
a you know, it depends on the audience. Some people might see that and be like, okay, that's nothing. But you know, depending on who you're talking to, right? And I would just, you know, um, I would just say sensitivity, uh, for the most part. You know, maybe scaling back demographics so it could be more universal. You know, universal iconography or
Yeah,
illustrations would be suited. But the characters are great. It's just you know, once you get to specific, maybe like specific nationalities or you know demographics, maybe that might run into some issues. But I don't know. What do you have any comment on that, Terry?
You are the expert when it comes to illustration, so I will leave that up to you.
Yeah, okay. Then, but yeah, that's the only thing. I like this at the end. Have your like, hey, find more of my contact here. I would like maybe something that'll lead me to, you know, don't end it here, lead me to somewhere else, right? So, lead me to your contact. Hey, contact me, or lead me to the next project. You know, send me somewhere so that I'm not just at the end, right? Keep the train moving along. But
Keep
overall,
them
like,
engaged. Yeah.
yeah, overall I think this is really great laid out, really nice, simple, clean. You know, the illustrations look shows you're great. You know, you really know your stuff as far as illustration goes. It shows you know how to lay out things and you're thinking visually. You know, this is super nice. So I really like how this project was laid out. So it was great.
okay, great,
All
thanks.
right. Okay,
All
so
right.
let's go
So
back to
next
the
one.
work. Okay, let's continue. Style guide.
This one is a style guide. Okay, so it's a style guide, and let's see this view interactive style guide. Marvel app. So it's pretty much kind of like a style guide slash, you know, some might say design system thing. So this is your interactive version of this. Okay. All right. Right off the bat. Oh, I kind of want a little guy standing here for some reason.
Yeah, another illustration.
Well, it doesn't have to be an illustration, but like something that relates. I would say, here you have a whole style guide, right? Maybe that section could be used for an example of that style guide in place, right? In action. So what was it
Right.
used for? Was it like a website or something? Well, throw it in there. Let me see it. Let me see the final form of it. Okay. And then here you have the typography, it in action, emphasis list. Okay. All right, Terry, do you have any comments as I'm scrolling down?
No, no. I definitely think regarding the style guide, um, I'm Adam. Actually, I kind of want to ask you this: do you
Mhm.
think the style guide should be in with the rest of the app? I mean, of like all of the digital, or do you think it should be like maybe at the end?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, I do not care for this that much. I mean, it's nice that you can do it, but and it's a lot of stuff, but I'm not gaining anything about your UX abilities. Your UI, sure, that's great. You know how to if we need uh, somebody to do UI work, you definitely know how to do it for sure. But you have to, I guess, what are you going for? And so you want to showcase that. And so I would lead with the UX stuff more. And if you're going to have this, since it's a lot, I would just kind of throw it at the end because this is, it just shows me that you spend a lot of time developing this. But it's like, okay, well, I don't know about. It doesn't tell me anything about your thought process, about your methodology, about who this does, I guess. But other than that, I'm like,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
maybe this could be the last thing.
Unless you have examples with the style guide of like the projects that you did, maybe you can showcase one and maybe have the style guide as a PDF or like as a link as like, well, I did this project at XYZ and here's the style guide that basically I did from scratch just from the whole company or whatnot
Hmm.
as another
Yeah,
option.
I'd prefer that where you talk about the creation of the style guide as you're showing like the different screens that you did for it. And if you want to talk about um, like specific sections of these, so like let's say the typography, all right, um, just show me the highlights of it and then do a screen showing the typography in place or showing these buttons like as the main, show it like as the header hero image of the site being used, and then like throw this all in a PDF or something. You know, tell me that story instead of just showing me all this. Yeah, but I mean, it's
Okay.
great. It's a lot of work, but I don't know. Um,
Cut it
okay.
out. Cut it out, I reckon then.
Well, it's. I would say I would say leave it only because there's not a no who else is doing this in UX. UXers technically I wouldn't say aren't like developing and spending the time to go into the full style guide. I would say that's like the UI and developers that are doing that, and so like um, show that you can do it, right? So I don't know, maybe let that be one of your last projects. Okay. So Smiles reward app. All right, Terry, if you want to go ahead.
Okay, small rewards. Okay, so we do have the challenge and the introduction, and then you have a screenshot, the hand. Okay, okay, just keep on going, and then you tell us what you did, and then
Yep,
you,
like that.
yeah, like that, and then you're saying your process here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then shows your illustration and your um, analysis of what other apps that you did easy to use. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then the chores, the pros and cons, and was this the app that basically you were trying to recreate here?
Not recreate. No, no, no. I picked three that were pretty popular in the App Store. Believe it or not, looking at that screen, and so I used them as my like the research. Looked at the pros and cons and took a summary of what I thought from each of them,
Yeah.
and then worked from those three to try to create a better basic product.
Okay. Did you name the apps?
Yeah. So here he talks about the competitive
The
analysis, and then he
rewards,
goes into the chores app,
those apps.
the iReward app, and
Oh, I
then the
see it.
privilege. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It wasn't. I don't know, Adam. Please jump in. So when you scroll down, so you're talking about the whole analysis, but then you have lines of like breaking them. So like for some
Yeah.
reason I thought they were like separate and not same of the whole analysis group.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of time is spent on talking about these three different um, apps. Like you spend, like I have to scroll just to see all three of these. Whereas I feel like maybe they could be bundled each like three next to each other. I don't, you don't need to tell me, I'm like investing so much time in these in these competitor apps. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that one existed. Okay, don't tell me about, I was like, oh, avoid, like you want to get back to my app, right? So I would find a way to bundle this into like, you know, show maybe all three aligned next to each other that just talks about their pros and cons and maybe a light summary underneath. But yeah, I wouldn't spend too much time on each of these because yeah, that's not the point, right? The point is what you got out of it at the end. So the point would be like, I guess the ease to use, and then although highly customizable, yeah, but I mean, I would say yeah, focus more on highlighting this part than these three.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Okay.
makes sense. That makes sense looking at it now.
Okay.
I like this.
Okay.
See?
Yeah, so did I. Yeah, so did I like of your interviews, how you lay everything out because again, it's telling me a story. Boom, boom. Okay, great. Yeah, I think that's
I'm
good.
visually interested.
Yeah, and then your
It's
personas.
nice.
Yep, I agree.
Mhm.
And then your flows.
Uh-huh.
What does that mean, Adam? Oh.
I'm just a little confused about what's happening here. I'm guessing, like, I can
Yeah.
get this thing. I guess each of them go back home, right? Is that what you're
Yeah,
telling
from each of those levels, you can get back to the goals set up. I was trying to perhaps overcomplicated by showing it, but they're always visible. The different icons to get back to the goals was a main icon that was always on display. So from every single sort of sub menu, you could actually get back to the goals setup. So I was
me?
sort of
Okay.
showing that in a multi-arrowed sort of way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're showing that you could literally go everywhere. Yeah, I mean, I would I would work on this, right? Because what we do is we provide visual clarity. And if especially with our diagrams and layouts, and so this would be pretty important to get right. And so I would just go back and make sure that I get that this, here it's like this line is the goes back and forth, but also there. Whereas I don't know if you need these extra arrows here leading to this line are probably confusing to me. Um, yeah, I would say just maybe revisit this. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have your sketching wireframe. I think that's great. And then and then you're showing again of your low, mid, high
Mm-hmm.
fidelity, and we
Yeah.
talked about that in the Bank of America too,
Mm-hmm. See, here
as
I don't
well.
mind I guess because you have like just a you're only referencing it a little bit, right? You're like, okay, let me throw that in there. Um, so I guess that's fine in this sort of. Let's see, I want to keep as much of the app. Fine. Okay. And then here. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So I don't know if I like that it tells me what it is, but nothing would indicate that I would need to hover to know what the titles are, you know? So, because nothing else has interactivity like this one does, right? Does it? No. So I'd probably get rid of that and instead put in the titles at the bottom or in the top.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, let's see. Okay. Yeah. What do you think, Terry?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't know there were hovers until you start moving the mouse.
I didn't know either too. I was like, oh, okay. I know what pages. Okay. But overall, Terry, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, you can probably instead of having them maybe all squished together, maybe you can have the top three to make them a little bit bigger and have the width, and then just have the other two underneath, so we can so we can actually see the screens a little bit bigger. Maybe that would be my only.
Mm.
I don't know, Adam. What do you think?
Yeah, it would be nice to get more of that. Just like just like a different, like this is where you want to showcase. It's like your product shot, and so you're showing me these screens here. That's great, but then like wow me too by putting it in a mock-up. Kind of what you did with
Bank
the
of
Bank of
America.
America app. Yeah, just like like a hero, kind of like a you know show me this, right? So you could show these screen, like I don't need to know. Well, I don't know. The settings and the goals aren't as important to me, and so showing it is like, okay, well that's like a standard thing where you're wowing me with. That's like, since there's little um design that has to go in there. um so instead, show me maybe these three, and then throw these in somewhere else, or like do, like when you see a phone mock-up where you see like the carousel of all the different screens, kind of like what they do here, like, and then you can hide the rest of those kind of there, so you don't need to yeah, something like this where you're just kind of like throwing it in like a visually appealing um, kind of display, and then you're showcasing the ones that are most important, and you're kind of hiding the rest that aren't as important, but they're there, and so they're helping the layout, and so it's just more of like a visually interesting thing. But yeah, and then the same thing down here, lead me somewhere to keep going. I like this though, smiles. Let's see. Overall, yeah, it's nice. I like, same as before with the Bank of America. You laid it out pretty good. I would say that the hierarchy as far as the sections are a little different. So like now it's smaller, and so like this is almost right. I mean, the only indication that you have is that it's all caps, but I would say they're pretty close as far as size goes. So I would think, oh, of course, I might get lost as far as the navigation goes, where I can't find the next section as quickly. But everything else, it's pretty standard. You laid it out pretty good. Maybe um, some padding would be good too. And maybe because this is next to these, I would say if you update this a little bit, I think I wouldn't have a problem with this shot in there. But yeah, I think overall it's nice.
Okay, cool. So, any questions for Matt on that one?
For me, no, I agree with that point you made, Terry, about the lines. There was too many within the same section, and as I'm watching, as you're going through it and seeing it at the same time, I'm sort of seeing it from a different sort of angle, actually. And yeah, so I agree with all the points you brought up on that.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
I'm like, phew.
yeah. Pressure. Okay, so let's go to the fitness one.
Okay, go do fitness. Okay, let's see what this is about. I would make this a clickable link. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, let's see. Okay. Well, okay. Should we wait? It's going. Okay. All right. Let's see it in action. All right. Cool. That's nice. Okay. I need something to tell me that's there. Profile. Okay. Yeah, I see that. Cool. All right. Terry, what are you seeing?
Okay. Scroll down. Keep going. Okay. I definitely like how you're using the phone to peek out of the ridge and stuff. How that is there. User research. Yeah. I definitely like. Okay, if you stop. How you do like, okay, so would you use a simple activity tracker? Well, 82% people say they would. And so like, I like the way how you integrate the question with a graphic, and it's telling the story again, right?
Yeah, this is what you were talking about before, isn't it, with the in the Bank of America app?
Yeah.
Graphically display it.
Yeah. And then the only thing, I think, like the dark purple, that might be a little hard to see, but other than that. And keep going.
That's cool.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
And your medium fidelity. Keep going. And your high fidelity. And your typography. Okay. And then you're showing your final design. Which is, okay, there we go.
Yeah, see, so this is what I was saying. Like, have something that's like, you have the screens throughout that you're showing me. So I'm like, okay, I get to see it. I already seen it in full view. And so you're already giving me the showcase ones. And now here it's like, okay, now show me it all like as it fits in a family, but do it in a way where I'm just like not looking at screens, what I feel like this is definitely more, like you're putting a lot of thought into the presentation, almost as if this was like an app that you're selling. And like this is as a visual designer, on my end, this is what I prefer, right? But I do feel like you're compensating a little bit for not having as much of the UX in here. It's more scaled down, but to compensate, you're making this more visually appealing for me. And I don't know, for me, I'm okay with it, because you're showing me like the whole process, and you're showing me that the visual side of it as well, right? Like not just the screens, but how it's presented overall, the overall presentation. Like that's great. It's definitely different from what I've been seeing so far, because you've done the first two that we had were very similar, and then here now you're throwing this completely different look and feel for me. So I don't know if that's going to be an issue. let's see. I don't know. I don't know about having this at the top because I feel like I have to scroll way down to start seeing stuff. Okay, see this is great, but I'm like, but where? What am I looking at? Okay, here it is. So something about this might be an issue about having to scroll way down to see the overview. But I love this, right? This is presented nicely. This is cool. It leads me down to here. Then you just kind of have this in the middle. Well, you sort of have something stimulating there. Typography page, I love that. That's nice. Iconography. See, like here, you just like made a whole little section just for the icons, and it's like it lives in its own little space, and it's presented all nice. Like this is great. Like, so it shows me that you, like, I would prefer, well, because I'd I'd probably be looking for a visual designer instead of a UX designer. So I don't know. Um, uh, but this is the kind of stuff that I like overall. Thanks for scrolling. That's nice. But let's see. What are you seeing, Terry?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely brings a lot of UI into it as well. And then I think it's good to have of a mix of UI and UX, but maybe you can take everything just from the Bank of America and from a Smiles app and this one, and actually build yourself a template of like how to do things like, okay, this is this section, and then that's this section, and this is this section, and have the content the same, but maybe visually a little different, but still within that framework.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that. Let's see. You have okay. Yeah, you're leading with your best kind of image. Yeah, I think you have pretty much everything. I want to say that maybe these were like too much of the same. Like this is very similar to this, which is very similar to this, but I wouldn't see what you could replace. Maybe you could replace it with this, the hiking leaderboard, just because that shows just a little more, a little something different. I don't think you need this one, but that's just like the nittiest pickings, the nittiest of picks would be to
Nitpicky.
replace that. Yeah, but I'm saying if you needed to go to the effort. Okay. Let's see. So far, I would kind of lead this with your number two. Like I would move this up here.
Right.
This should be your second one. So far. Bank of America, I would think it's first. The name brand, the recognition, I think that'll draw attention. Even though if you're not, if it isn't actual client work, just the idea that you can stick within a look and feel of a of an identity. I think that works for you. So keep that as number one, and then move that to number two. Okay.
Okay, so
Connect
your
volunteer.
character app.
Mhm. Right.
Okay, so challenge. Okay, just keep going. Simple way. Okay, keep going.
Okay. I like that you have that in there. Your hero image kind of talks about what the challenge is. It's cool. I like that.
You know what? I noticed that basically the other ones, the Bank of America
Hmm.
has that basically these two don't have is like, what was your role and what
Mm,
programs that you
that's
do?
true. Yeah. It would be good to know what pretty much what where is it?
I thought it was at the top.
Huh. Oh, no, I think that was in his about page. Like what was the software that you used to do it? What's what what UX techniques did you use for this project? What tools did you use for it? It'd be good to know. Okay.
Yeah, and your role too.
Mm-hmm.
Just give like a little summary, and I mean, it doesn't have to be like too big or whatnot.
And would you say that's something you do at the start of a project? You give an overview, or something you sort of intersperse throughout?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, normally, I think the trend is to get like a little summary at the top, and basically, if you
Mm-hmm.
have a final prototype, that should be up in the top, because maybe recruiters or like hiring managers, if they have, if they have a job, right, and they have like over about of 100 applications, they want to get the summary. Oh, prototype, great, I can click, and maybe by then they'll be like yes or no, and then basically if they have time later, then they'll go back to your website sometimes, or maybe that will just be enough of what they need. I don't know. Okay, Adam, do you agree?
Yeah, I think giving us context of like what's going on here. Here you have the details. So, wow, this is about the user research. Yeah, tell me about the project. Like, what was the whole point of it? Here you're saying it's a simple way to do, a simple way to give back. But like, why the need for the project? What was your role in it? How many people? Maybe not how many people were involved, but like, you know, just give me some context. So this is lacking context, which is sort of here, but give me like I need a story of what's going on. Also,
Sure.
too, like
Yeah.
I really like this, but I feel like it's way too long. So I'm like, so I don't know. Maybe there's a way we can shrink that somehow. Okay. Personas are great.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
A lot of information. You have pretty much everything you need all in one viewing. It's perfect. Okay. This looks great.
Mm-hmm.
Wireframes. Yeah. See, I like that it's, you know, laid
It's its
out.
own section.
Yeah. You could
I
move
mean,
this over a little bit. Um,
yeah.
fill in this. It's fine. The logo is cool. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about it. Yep. Yep. So this is good. Finished designs. Okay. Okay. These are better. I'd find a way to show. Well, you know what it is? I think it's because right away I can tell this is older, and I could tell because it's so wide. Like this was made probably for like an iPhone, I don't know, 5 or something. Is that
Yeah,
right?
you're
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one of the ones I wanted to, or I was probably going to remove because it is dated.
Yeah. That's so the problem is I like everything. I like this. I like everything up until I get to these guys. Something about these, they're like I are not the I can feel the datedness in these screens.
Yeah,
This one is for the most part could be nowadays for sure. This one has been stretched, so but it looks like the right proportions of a phone now. And then here, right? Show me this one. Show me screens where it's not like the settings, right? I want to see like experiences of a user using a thing. So I love I love all of this. I would just go back if you're gonna use this, go back and update the internal pages,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
this could be done for sure. Like product profile pages now, like think of I don't know Tinder how they do their profiles, or you know uh, there's a lot of different ways of profiles are done now. What's done here? Profile, yeah, like even this, the bottom navigation could be updated as well. Yeah, like, but the thing is, like, you only have to do a couple of screens, right? You're talking about maybe 6 screens, pop it in over this, and like, because all this is laid out like nice, right? Your research looks great. This hero kind of image you're using looks nice. Um, so I would say, as for like a number 3, this could be in there. Talk to me a little bit more about this logo, maybe. Like like, oh, this whole section, how you laid it out, like this, the logo in the middle, you go down, you see this little ghosted face. Down here, you see all these phones. That's all great. So just update the screens and you have a really nice looking presentation overall.
Yeah, and basically, you can just use the same image and just do the screens and just put them
Yeah,
on top of them too.
yeah. I know, because I bet you probably don't even have like the originals of, or right, or
No.
it's somewhere hidden, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually got my eyes closed as you look at some of these because I'm like, it was a bit cringing, honestly, looking at the tab bar and stuff. But yeah, the layout, I actually like the layout. I agree with you on that. But the screens are definitely too dated to include in a current portfolio, I'd say.
Which is, it's interesting too, because like, UI, that's kind of like, this was done like several years ago, but it looks, it looks just as good as something now. Again, just like the proportions make it look, you can tell. So it depends on who's looking at it, although I would say, if it's somebody on a design team, they can just read that these are not current. And so, but yeah. All right. Overall, I think it visually looks great. I think you laid it out like, again, it's the idea of like, how are you presenting this to me? I don't want to see, I don't want to see just text, maybe a graph, although here it's fine, but show me, like, keep me visually interested. Think about if this is your product, so you have to wow me as I'm going along. As soon as I start getting bored is as soon is when I feel like, oh, this isn't it, right? So as I'm going down, like, I'm engaged throughout. I'm like, okay, oh, now you threw me in this direction. Oh, look at how you laid this out. That's great. Oh, now I'm here. Oh, wow, look at this. So I would say, which you're doing. And so that's why I like this overall presentation, right? You keeping me engaged as I'm going down. So yeah.
So do you think, based
Mhm.
on these the first two that you looked at, the Bank of America and the rewards, the Smiles app, those have been laid out in a very sort of clean, no backgrounds. They're very different to the fitness app and the one you're just looking at, the Care Connect. Do you think, style-wise, it'd be better for portfolio to be consistent and go with the older style, in fact, with the layouts that were created fully, flowing in Sketch, which is how I did those. I made them all in Sketch, rather than like the way that the Bank of America app has been presented, with just small text and images, sort of traditional, just blocks.
Right.
I
Go ahead.
I would say blend them in together somehow.
Hmm.
That's just my
For
anyway. Adam, go.
Yeah, for me, I would say, um, it it I like that. I like when the experience fits the product, right? So when here you're talking about Bank of America, Bank of America is very, it's an established bank. It's well known. It plays it safe with its visuals. So you would see this type of look at a bank, right? All white, which you see in the app, right? A white look with the red accents. You're getting the blue from. So when I'm looking through the whole presentation, I'm feeling like it's Bank of America. When you go through to now this one, the Go Do Fitness, sorry. there. Now you're taking me to the experience of you've taken on the look and feel of the app that it's in. Now I'm feeling like it's a sports app. So I'm completely up for updating the look and feel to match the look and feel of the app, that experience. But what I do agree with Terry is that if you're gonna have an overview and then user research and then why, like this, when I go to the other apps, I have to see that same progression. So the content, the HTML has to be the same, but the CSS can change, right? If you go to development, the structure has to be the same, but the look and feel and the code of paint can be different.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Kind of like a Fry's Electronics. If you've ever been to a Fry's, it's like the exterior is a different experience every time you go, but everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. So you know where to go, except now you're in a cave or now you're in a pyramid. Although that's just my opinion. So let's see, the Go Meet app. All right. Okay, Go Meet. See, like again, pretty much what we're saying. It's a new experience, so it's taken on that look and feel of a Go Meet app. You're taking the style guide from it, so you're taking their colors. So now you have the green that you're taking from the color from the app. So this is now updated, right? So now your wireframes or your low fidelities look kind of had take on this nice look and feel. You show, yeah, see, like, see, you're not just showing me from low fidelity to high fidelity in one screen. You're giving me a different take on it. Like, I've already seen it a bunch of times. Now you have it in a more visually interesting way, right? I'm more engaged in this type of look and feel. Although that's it. I would say there's not enough here to tell me about the project. Let's see, Terry, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I would like to see the wireframes, of your hand drawings a little bit more, and the user research a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
just what the parts that you left out in here, like here you go extensive, right? Extensive. What's the problem? What's the goal? None of that's here. I don't see any of the problem, any of the goal, any of the reason why to do it. You do it all. It's all in here, and you didn't do any of that here. So, but this looks visually, you're taking me on a journey here, and so I'm like, oh, that's great, and I'm like, oh, that's it. Like, where's the rest of it? So like this, I love this. Also, still updated. Go ahead.
I think the idea with was to have just a couple that were really brief in terms of just showing the UI without going into all the UX and in depth. That was the thinking behind it. But obviously, you think it's a little bit too brief.
Yeah. Well, let's compare it to, for example, your Smiles app, right? Here you're giving me like, right, yeah, this is what we're talking about. This is what you used in it. These were the tools. This was your thought process in here. You showed a competitive analysis, right? And then you got into the pros and cons. So you've showed that you're doing your research and you're showing your insights that you got out of it, right? What did I get out of it? What are the these things lacking that I could kind of use for my app? What are other people saying? Like, you go into so much depth, but the problem here is that these screens don't compete at all with these screens. Like, these screens, look at this, right? Like, this screen, this whole layout, like the visuals, the little that I see are like miles different from this. And so, you're giving me a lot of information here, which is great. But if there's a way to marry these two together, show me these visuals with this content, and then I'd be a happy camper.
Okay, I've got to make you a happy camper. So I agree. I agree with that. Yeah, I prefer the sort of visuals of this type as well. But I'd got it in my head that being sort of, the white backgrounds and more focused on the research, you just wanted to see the screens at the end. You didn't need to have the fancy sort of UI shots leading into the next page. So I guess I was purposely trying to just be a bit more straightforward in the presentation, just showing the screens, showing the research. Yeah, a bit more like flatter compared to these other projects.
And that could be my bias as a visual designer, right? I could just be saying, you gotta wow, I'm like, for my take on portfolios is that like every project is a product page, and so I'm trying to sell you. So like, oh, look at, let me wow you with these stats, let me wow you with even with how I show you even with how I show you my research. I'm gonna wow you because I'm gonna make it look like a product.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's my take on it. You know, like, oh, you're gonna want to buy this because this is great stuff by the top leading whatever. Look at how I put this little circle at the end just to give it a visual interest. Look at how I lead you in. Now this line leads you to this user experience, which leads you to the wireframes. Like visually take me on a journey, and then I'm on board. Yeah, I want to buy this. Right, I want to buy you because you're the product at the end. You're the main thing.
yeah.
Terry, what comments do you have for the Go Meet app?
Yeah, definitely. If you can find just a happy balance between the UX and the UI, what you did for Bank of America, and with this style, and just kind of blend it in a little bit more, I think you'll definitely have a solid portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I would
Yeah.
say right now, right now I'm like even just like wondering if this should be in here um, with this, it's so little, right? Like maybe if this was bundled with another, I don't know. And so um, that's the part I worry, because if you're going for a UX UI position, like I don't know if this will be enough to
Enough,
engage
yeah.
um, people. All right, so let's see, music player. Okay, see right away, bam. Challenge. Give me some
Yeah.
context, right? And give me some context with the splash image. Perfect, right? Throw in this little thing in the background. Perfect. Love it. Love all that. Wireframes lead me down into a journey. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah. Oh, let me hide that. I don't know what that was, but let's see. Yep. See, things like this. Now I'm like visually engaged. Great. Lead me into more about your thought on the visual design, which is
Hmm.
apparently now a subset of
Final designs.
and then you'll get to here, which the screens all look great. These are really great
Yeah.
looking screens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again,
Also too, you can change it up as well. Because like if you would just want to show the wireframes and then like all the pretty screens, and then underneath you can say, well, this is how I got here. Maybe you can switch it up that way. Instead of saying thanks for viewing, you can have maybe of the information at the bottom, and just extend that too. It's
Yeah.
just a thought.
Yeah.
hmm yeah, I would say more, I would say over explaining, right? Like here, throughout every stage of wireframing process, user feedback informed the decision evolution in fine tuning the design and streamline functionality. The problem with this statement is, like I would say it's so small. This statement isn't for a UX designer to read. This is for whoever the stakeholder was.
Yeah.
Like this
Yeah.
isn't telling me
That's
enough
right.
about who's your audience, right? Is it's gonna be that art director, maybe the person, some, I would say a majority of the time I guess it's a mixture of the two, right? It dep- yeah, that's a good point. Like, I feel like I guess it depends on who you're selling yourself to. For me, I'm always thinking about that you're gonna be interviewed by like a art director to help them out, and so
Yeah,
I have to think about
yeah.
that one.
Yeah, I think like again, I think if there is a balance of to maybe put one or two
Yeah.
sentences about the product and then after that go in and give details
Mm-hmm.
of the process.
Like this is nice too. Even this one, this high fidelity or mid fidelity is pretty cool, even to that extent. Okay, yeah, I would say again, the same issues that we have with the Go Meet app is pretty much the exact same thing. So I don't
Yeah.
know, expand, I guess, upon those.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see the promo video. I'm gonna not put the sound on because I don't think that's needed. All right.
Oh, I love the music on this one.
Okay. All right. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Let me see if you guys can hear it. Can you hear it?
No.
No.
Okay. It's because come. All right. Let me get off of my speaker. Let's see if you can hear it. Oh, I crashed it. All right. Let's see. All right.
No, that
Terry,
was
what are your
just
thoughts?
something that was done in After Effects, and I don't know whether or not to include it. It was just a bit of I basically learned how to use it for the project, so it was just a YouTube advert.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I like it because it is a little different, but also
Yeah.
too, I think would be cool if you add like of your storyboard and like how did you got the idea and just kind
Yeah.
of this explain the story of like what may change of the music or maybe you maybe had like a mood board for that
Yeah.
project,
Sure.
but I would definitely keep this. Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, I would say not without the extra things because just by itself, it's cool. It shows that you can do After Effects, which is it's pretty cool. I would say that's a thing that that's that's beginning to be more part of the UX toolkit, right? To show how these screens animate. Although now we have software to do that. So, but showing like they're doing motion graphics type stuff. That's great. But yeah, I would say give me like the story behind that as well. Like what
Yeah.
right now you're just showing me a video. Talk to me about like what were the challenges, um, yeah, what were the screens looking like? What was the development for the characters? Was this part of their branding or did you create them? Um, you know, yeah, give me a deeper dive into the whole process. Just like for example, you know, you have the wireframe version, like it's all the same stuff, right? When you're creating a video, you're
Yes.
creating your sketches, you're creating your high fidelity, you're thinking about the color palette, you're thinking about, and then here's the video. So where's all that for this, you know? But yeah, let's see. Okay, and then a website redesign as part of a complete company website refresh. All right, what are you seeing, Terry?
Hmm, this is definitely not as dynamic as your other stuff.
Yeah, this was just part of like the everyday work from the old company, and I had a bunch of these on the Behance site, and I just picked one because what it was before was, it was pretty bad. But it was, yeah. So I was going to remove this, but I've left it all in because I just wanted to get your thoughts on whether or not it's actually got any value at all, for a
Yeah.
portfolio site, which I don't feel personally it probably hasn't. Looking at it, it's just a layout for a web page.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you, Matt. I don't think it. I mean, it's nice, but it's not like the video. It's not like your other stuff. It's just like, okay, it's a redesign,
Yeah.
And then basically, if you're gonna do a redesign, for myself, I want to see the before and after, and what was your sketches, and what was the process.
Yeah.
Adam.
Yeah, I agree. It's just it's a one long scroll, and so that's not interesting to me, right? I'm like, oh, I'm learning about this company. I'm like, oh, okay. What's the history of Simprints? Oh, okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. And I'm like, wait, what am I doing here? What site am I on? Did
Yeah.
I go to the wrong site? Like, if I was just scanning through this to find the parts, I wouldn't have realized that this was a one long scroll site. And I'm like, oh, what did you enjoy about your job? Oh, okay. So tell me a little bit about your project. Oh, wait, that's not what am I looking at? And then the fact that you have to like blur a lot of it out, at least these parts, it's like, you know, without showing me like even the before and after, um, no context. Definitely don't show the whole
Yeah.
scroll. But yeah, I would definitely um, expand a lot on it or just get rid of it at that
No,
point.
I'm going to get rid of it. That's an easy one. That's a good answer. So yeah, no, I'll
Okay,
lose that.
cool. Okay, so Adam, since we took a look at everything, what do you think he should keep, and what would be the order?
What's for me? I would do 1, 2, 3. You know, maybe 4, and then that's it. Like without expanding on these. Um,
Okay, so what would be your order if you add that expansion?
yeah, I really like this, like the whole look and feel, um, the colors throughout, the experience, the screens look super nice. Like even just standalone, all these screens look really great. Um, so I don't know, I'd want to keep that. Let's see. I also like these screens, even though there's a few of them. You're doing a lot of good stuff with the gradients here, which I'm not seeing as much in this one. I like the content. I would update the look and feel a little bit. You're showing me two interesting screens, and even then, I'm like, I feel like they could be updated just a little bit more. Um, with this one too, like I said, I love the story too. It's just that the screens also need to be updated as well. So the visuals that I really like are one, two, these two, and then these two. And the stories that I like the most are these three, you know. So if you can find a way to up these visuals to match these visuals, or up this content to match the rest of the content, one or the other. Um, you know, that's what I would recommend. And then, these are nice to have. Well, this is a nice to have for sure. Sure, maybe if you want to round it off, throw that one in there too. Get rid of this. And yeah, what do you think, Terry?
Mm, I would definitely have to agree, but I would definitely expand on the video and show me like storyboarding and just give me just a little bit more on that.
Hmm. Yeah, you know, like I said, like all this tells a story. It gives you, at least these ones gives me context, reasons, insights. This doesn't at all, right? So it's a nice to have, but maybe, like we said, talk about the insights of it. Give me some screens as you're going along. explain to me the decisions about like creating a style guide, show me it in action, and then um, throw all this into a PDF somewhere. Um, that for those that really want to get into it, you know. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff in here. You know, should he leave it just to 6? You know, if he had, let's say, pick a top 6, and then
Mm-hmm.
you know the 9 is just like the
Yeah,
just nice to have, showing other skills that you do.
I think the top 6 or even the top 4, right? Top 4 or 5.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of 6 because the layout favors
Mm-hmm.
us. You know,
6.
um, at least the 6. I mean, it's cool to see the all 9, but I would say like um, these aren't doing you any favors, or this isn't doing you any favor. So this is more just to throw it in there. This is cool, but expand upon that. You know, this may or may not be useful to
That's just a
people.
lot of
Although,
work.
yeah,
I feel that's like maybe a lot of work, and maybe time could be spent on the other ones a little bit more.
oh yeah. So this one is fine, right? Bank of America thing is great. I would say the Care Connect needs little work, right? You already did a big chunk of it. This will take a little bit more to expand upon the same thing with this one. And then this, I would say maybe focus on these two, since they'll give you the most of your return. You'll get the most of your return for the effort that you're putting in. Let's update these two. Because for these 3, you're gonna have to like go in and add a much more content. And like I said, I don't know if you have um, all the original files and everything to put in the work. So maybe favor this one of the 3 of these, or and this one, I guess.
Okay.
And yeah,
So,
uh,
any more questions, Matt?
No,
see.
I don't have any question. I think you covered way more than I was hoping for actually. So no, it's been really useful. Thank you.
Okay.
Just want to make sure they work.
Yeah, make sure
And
the links.
yeah, nice and simple. It'd be nice to throw in something else in here too.
Some
You know,
more illustration. I like your illustration.
yeah,
Yeah.
illustration work. Well, um, you know, you have this cool minimalistic look. Maybe if there's, you know, it'd be cool if you had the same circle, maybe not with your photo, but like something, right? Something about you, something maybe like an airplane, right? Because you talk about like story,
Yeah.
you know, something about your story. You could fill in this little thing right here.
Space.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
And yeah, I think that's cool.
Oh. All right, all right, all right. Well, again, Matt, if you don't have any questions for us, we'll be wrapping it up. So I will ask again any questions or feedback or anything else that maybe we might miss.
No, nothing for me. That's all
No.
good.
Okay, so anyway, we're going to end the podcast. And basically, how we end it is Adam, where can we find you on the web?
Yeah. You know what? Sorry. Before we get into that, I just want to say final thoughts, right? Um, the stuff in the portfolio that I saw was really, really great. Like you have a ton of visual design that's great. And so like I love that aspect of it, you know, like you definitely have you definitely I feel the experience, right? And so that's what I like the most about it, right? And so I think the portfolio is you know it's pretty strong already. All right, anyways, where can you find me on the web? You can find me on Twitter at Adan Cepeda. That's AdanZepeda, and you can find me on Instagram at adanz.designs. What about you, Terry? Where can we find you?
Hey, yeah, definitely on Twitter. Handle name is Flaxenink, FLAXENINK. And then on Insta, it's flaxenink.designs. And on TikTok, it's just Flaxenink. And of course, you can find me on LinkedIn. But anyways, Matt, where can they find you on the web?
Well, not as many places as you guys, but Behance, Matt R. Ward, one T in that. The myportfolio.com is Matt Ward, and LinkedIn, Matt R. Ward, again, one T.
Oh, nice. And then also, too, a little birdie told me you are actually accepting freelance work at the moment. Is that still true?
Yeah, I've got a project on at the moment with my old boss, basically, with a startup that he's doing, but I'm definitely looking for some other freelance work. So if anyone's got anything that's going on, then I'd be interested to hear about it for sure.
Oh, well, definitely hit Mr. Mad Ward, half firefighter and half helicopter and designer, man. So that's it for us, and we'll see you next week, everybody. Aloha.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thanks.